they're going, and you're doing this. That's not how we're going to do it here.
No. It's a very animated laugh.
Yes, over the top.
And stage performance.
And exactly, and at the same time, that's the space they're writing in. That's the space they're thinking in. So when it comes over here, it's got to have, I guess, what I call an American sensibility.
Right.
So do you, when you're practicing, I'm part of what you're practicing is the music. And is it ever hard for a group to get the music together?
Well, you're more or less...
If that makes any sense.
Right. Well, it's kind of... it's more of a straight thing where it's not... It's laid out a little differently than that. Because they've done, the production team that handles... And there are many facets to that. It goes from the manga a lot of times... from the writer taking it from the manga, translating it over, so it's, palatable for the in-house team of evaluators. Then they transfer it over to the director. Then the director has their notes. Then they have this whole discussion of it.
Yes.
Then they bring it to me, and I'm talent. I'm on the back end, so I don't see any of that. Right. I'm what you call post-production. Yes. So once all this other stuff has happened, you bring me in to voice it, and then that's a whole beast in itself, but not nearly, to me, the monster that they have to deal with. So they get the music, so to speak, down before I get involved. So when I get there, it's my job to breathe life into it in a way that makes it. That does have American sensibilities in terms, for the overall American audience, and at the same time, make an effective, realistic voice for that character. Something that looks, because it's not going to sound like the Japanese.
No,
because
it's not.
I think from doing this. I mean, I don't know the whole history on it, but just from doing this as long as I have, it seems that a lot of the way they're coming from more or less. A stage performance, so to speak.
Theater.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Where it's over the top, in that kind of way. Because that's the only thing you would see that would, that would fit the way that they're playing it. You know what I mean? That character. And then the voices they use are very, very different. So, going back to Leonhardt, the King of Beasts, my version of him is completely different than their version. Their version, he's more of this is the way he speaks. This is how he talks. He's trying to get his point across, and that is it. Me, he's a beast. So in my mind, he's got to be a beast. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna have a straight voice. First of all, he's got two huge teeth coming out of his mouth. So I have to think this through now. Yes. And this is where the breakdown comes in. I'm breaking down not just the script, but also the character. And I'm grateful to them that they trust me enough. Yes. Jonathan Rigg is the director of that project, and he trusts me enough to even work with me on certain script changes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now the script writer is awesome. I know her personally; she's wonderful. But there are certain words that once you get an understanding of the character, that he would say he might not say wouldn't. He might say would not instead of wouldn't. You know what I mean? And that fits the personality of the character better.
Yes.
So those kind of changes, we make all the time. So he's got these big teeth. He's got to talk through that. And his diction has got to be perfect. Yes. And he's got this heavy growl to his voice. And it's lower. And then it's deeper. And then you have to find this place. And then once you find how he's speaking, now you must find the way that you will be saying the words. And so he's got that muddle. Thank you. And so, it's a lot to that. And so then you got to come up with the personality of the character and how that fits. Yeah. And so, and I'll just briefly end on this. Yeah. That
you can longly end.
Okay, well, I didn't want to,
hurry.
Well, that character particularly, I took a combination, because it's all about what you bring to the character as well. But I took a combination of Yul Brynner, James Earl Jones, and Orson Welles. Now, I mean, Orson Welles is speaking voice.
That's a measure.
And so, you know what I mean? And so, if you remember James Earl Jones as King Jaffe Jaffer in the, in the Coming to America movie, and My Son Waits, works, and, in the way that he speaks, and then let them wait. So it's like that that royal, but yet well-spoken way. And then you've got Yul Brynner's, his accent and the way he speaks his words. And death to the the Hebrews, death to their God, and the way that he his approach. But that Ramsey's way of, which I love that character, by the way.
Oh,
you can't beat any of those characters from the original Ten Commandments. My aunt looks at me and she's like, "You like all that dramatic?" I said, "They were the coolest characters ever." It's like you never get a cooler Moses than CGI. Charlton Heston's Moses in the Ten Commandments. Look at the way he speaks, and then he has that lean in the back. That 1970s lean. It's just cool. And so cool. That character, and then Orson Welles, the way that he is well-spoken way of approaching things, and he says things kind of quickly. He puts you have to draw your mouth out to say certain words a certain way. So it's kind of like that with James Earl Jones, and all of that fits. And then you get the Beast, and the way he says his words, and he speaks, and talks, and he tries to get everything out past the teeth. You know what I mean? And so all of that's going on. So fantastic. It's like.
Well, you just built a character for us.
It can be an exhausting process.
So, in what kind of space do you practice?
In the booth.
In the booth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I was fortunate enough to get some of the ideas down first. I saw a picture of him.
Yeah.
I had no clue how he would sound. Okay. And then when I got in the booth, I had a general idea of how I wanted to approach it. And then I was like, okay, well, and then we start to develop it as it goes along. And it's like, okay, well, let's try this. And I've been blessed to where I've been doing this long enough to where I can piece it together easier now. It's kind of like taking a puzzle and you're, and you're trying to rapidly put it together. I was really fortunate to meet, Bob Bergen.
Mm-hmm.
Bergen, I think it's Bergen.
Yes, right.
But the official voice of Porky the Pig, and he has a great interview, Variety, I think it's Variety magazine, and he breaks down how he comes up with the character voices, and they would just put a picture in front of him, and then he would tell you how it goes, and it's just so cool to hear because it's like this is literally what we do, and you're doing it on the fly, and it's like you got to have tools in your toolbox, to pull from, and so. And it's all about how they may appear and how they look, and then they tell you a little bit about the background of the character. And it's like, and then that's how you develop them.
So I'm going to go a little cognitive psyche on you right now because you talk about practice, and when you're practicing and doing all those things, you're using your brain that has all the other voices you've created in it. Do you ever find yourself where you've created a character, you've gone to the next gig, and you still find that old character kind of coming out? And you've got to reorganize around that old character?
Yes, that's 100%. Okay. Because kind of like what you mentioned before we got started, it is a character that kind of lives in your head, a little bit. So because you've developed him, he's a part of you to a certain degree, and it's like, that's so if I go out of one session and then directly into another one, I will tell them, especially if I've already done the character before, which is great because I've already developed that character. So now it's like, give me a vocal reference, and I'll ask for that in a heartbeat. And then they'll give me a vocal reference, and it's like, okay, cool. Then I can get out of that other one and get into this one, and because that's.
Does it take some actual talking to get it out of you?
No, not for me anyway.
Okay. All right, so you think I got to switch and you can switch?
Once I hear it, I'm a pretty decent mimic too, so I can hear a thing, and it helps to not be tone deaf. And
I think
to catch tones, quickly, and then it's like okay, and then you get the cadence of a thing, and then before you know it, it's like okay, I'm there, and then I've already, like I said, in most cases, I've already developed that voice.
Yeah,
like I did the I don't know if you've heard of the Great Jahi is another character, another anime I did, and I'm the narrator on that one, and it was funny because I got 2 narration gigs at the same time in the same year, and practically the same month. So I would go from one narration to the next. So the Great Jahi, I was doing a cowboy narration.
Okay,
which is interesting because it's like it's so off from the story, but it's like if you remember the Dukes of Hazzard, which it fit that because they were country boys anyway. So it's like, well, the Dukes boys are in trouble once again. Boss Hogg's chasing them down, and we're trying to figure out how exactly this is going to go. But if you follow the General Lee long enough, you'll see exactly how this is going to go. Yes. It's one of those types of things. And so that's how he sounds. You know what I mean? For the great Jahi, which is like, she's this demon goddess, and she comes to Earth, loses her powers, all the stuff is happening. Right. And it's like, well, the great Jahi's got to go through it again, but it makes for a funny show,
Yes.
And then I jump from that to I forget the name of the show, but it's another one where something. It's about this demon lord, and he's a kid, and he's got all these superpowers, and he's trying to live a normal life.
Okay, you've just named 5,000 animes.
No, so yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I didn't want to say the kid with the red eyes. No. I mean, that's definitely 5,000. And so and so he's there, and that one I just did my best interpretation or my best.
Impersonation.
Yes, impersonation of the voice from the narration from the first 48.
Oh, okay.
And so it's on the first 48. And he gets to talk. And so I go from this country, Western style characters to that, and that's and it's like he thought he could get away with it at school, but then his friends found out. And it's like
all right.
And so that sometimes requires a changeover. But you put me in the mind of some of those examples. But
well, the thing is, you're using your brain, and the brain's got momentum,
right?
And you just got to work through it to get to the next place,
right?
Now the thing is, you're dropping all these voices left and right easily now in ways it probably wasn't as easy 10 years ago. In other words, as you get better, it's easier to call them out, or not?
Right. Well, no. I mean, it is. I mean, it's like you said. It's kind of like Randy Orton syndrome. If you remember that kid, I got voices in my head. They talk to me, And so, it's like, you got all of that kind of stuff. They're in there. And so, I mean, I imagine it's that way for on-camera actors as well, especially when you've had to live with a character for like 6 to 9 months. You know what I mean? And it's I mean, they said the same thing about Denzel Washington when he played Malcolm X. They were like, well, did you go home and give speeches and stuff? And he was like, he's like,
it was
I
no
did a
more
lot
fun
of
at dinner.
Right, It was like, exactly, So
exactly.
he said, and sometimes it takes a little while to get that character out of your system.
So I'm not going to ask you your favorite. What I'm going to ask you is there a character or a few characters that were just hard to get, that just felt like they came harder than usual? It was more difficult to get them down.
Dada Silva of Blue Lock.
Okay.
Which I didn't do, but maybe 1 or 2 episodes of. And then he's supposed to be coming back later.
Yeah.
But in a kind of a big bad boss kind of way.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for that to happen. But because the show I think is still going on and they're waiting for the next seasons. But it's it was. I had to do this, which I didn't even know was a thing. Afro-Portuguese. And I was like, what? Afro-Portuguese?
You're going to do something for us, right? Because now we have to know.
Well, I will do my best, but it was like...
It was hard.
Yeah, because so what they sent me, this was another one, Jonathan Rigg was the director on.
Yeah.
And he sent me this video of Pele. The soccer player,
of course,
the worldwide famous soccer player, and I liked him and knew about him, but I never thought to the voice get the voice right. Let me turn that off. And so it was one of those things where when I started to do it, I said, okay, well, how do I best piece this together? Because Portuguese is a difficult language. Like I knew somebody that spoke Portuguese years prior, and he could barely explain it to me.
Right.
Like he was trying to explain to me how, and he's like, and this was like a Romanian kid, but he spoke perfect English. He grew up here, but he was like, well, Portuguese is just, it's like, he was explaining it to me like an Italian Bronx guy, and trying to explain, like, what's a potato, right? And so, he's going through this whole thing telling me, and he just couldn't, he said, he said it's a mosh posh of so many different things.
Okay.
Types of, languages.
Of course.
And so when I listened to Pele do his talk and speak, for the most part, he's using great diction, English language is really good, but there are certain words that would be missing, and or certain it's weird.
Okay.
English.
Yeah,
it's a weird English.
And it took a long time.
So I listened to him, and by the time I got through with that, I just realized, well, I'm going to do like a half Jamaican, half, Yes. So I was like this, and I had this extra accent to, throw you off just a little bit,
Of course.
And so I said, you want to go to the market, I play you the best way I can,
Yeah.
And so, and then he's got this crazy wild-eyed look, so one eye is usually kind of bigger than the other one. And it's like, so he's looking at you like he wants to kill you.
You're doing that while you're doing the voice, aren't you?
So exactly. It's kind of that Mark Hamill-ish effect, and I'm I get my hands really involved.
Of course.
And so the trick is to not move here.
Right. Right. Keep it by the mic.
You keep your head still and stay like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's the funny thing.
I figured some were harder. So now I'm gonna.
You can do all this you want. You just can't move.
You just got to. So I actually lied. I'm going to ask you if you do have. I'm not going to say a favorite.
Okay.
But a few, if you can't do a favorite.
Right now, my favorite is Leonhard. I don't know if they change the way I said that, but Leonhard's my favorite at this point. Outside of him, maybe Kizaru is a lot of fun because he's easy. But I think my absolute favorite is Top from Dragon Ball Super.
Okay.
Because he's kind of like, he's really me in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Like just ramped up to 10. You know what I mean? And like always on 10, but in a very excited and happy way.
All right.
You know what I mean? Very proud.
Ray, we got to bring this to a close. It's been absolutely fantastic. So tell us what you got coming up in the future. If you can.
Yeah, that's the question, right? I am, and that's why as I've been talking, I've been debating what can I talk about. There are more characters in the mix coming soon.
All right.
I can tell you that much. There's oh man, I don't know though if it's out yet. That's the only thing. But yeah, there's some other characters coming. There's some other characters
coming. More coming.
Stay tuned. Yeah, Yeah, well, yeah, all that stuff signed ahead of time. So yeah, but Crunchyroll's just there. They are big about. They want to get it out first, and a lot of companies are that way. They want to get the product out there first, and then once it's out there, then we can talk about it.
Yeah,
but they don't want to spoil it because usually there are things that they're doing on the back end with promotion wise.
Of course,
and they're paying for all these promotions, and it's like, look, we don't need you, okay, to just speak on it and mess it up, type thing. So we try to avoid those scenarios. But, or what's the guy that plays the Hulk? Oh man, left his phone on in the movie theater while the movie was playing, and they're like, "Turn your phone off, dude! Everybody's here in the premiere before it actually comes out." It's crazy. That's Mark Ruffalo. That's his name. Yeah.
Where can people find you on social media?
I am on Instagram at Ray Hurd voice_actor.
I'll put that in.
And yes, so also on Facebook and TikTok. I'm getting better at doing TikToks. Forgive me. I will be putting more things out. I haven't in a while, but I will be putting more things out. I've started on yesterday, and I'm putting more stuff out so everybody can consume social media stuff and video with the Dragon Ball coming too.
Where can they find you here?
I am on the far end next to Carlos, the voice of Rocco's Modern Life. Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life. I'm right next to him. So on the back wall, if you look up, and you'll see the big banners on the back side. So yeah.
Ray, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Everybody, how about a round of applause?
Thank you. Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Good to meet a psychologist.
Hey, everybody here. You're not going to hear your voice again listening for the rest of the day, are you? I mean, sitting next to you, my voice sounds so feeble. My voice needs to go to the gym.